Hey guys, tonight we are diving into a world that's as murky as the bottom of a Victorian medicine chest. Imagine yourself wandering through a dimly lit attic, dust swirling around in the beams of your flashlight. And then it happens. You find an old, crinkled map, its edges frayed and the ink faded, whispering secrets of a lost treasure from a civilization long forgotten. The thrill of adventure tickles your spine, but let's be honest. Delving into the unknown might just lead to you being chased by the ghosts of those ancient explorers. You probably won't survive this, but hey, living on the edge makes for a good storytelling, right? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Oh, and while you're at it, drop your location and local time in the comments. I'd love to see from where you're joining me on this sleep-riddled journey. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You hold the map delicately between your fingertips, the faded parchment crackling softly as you trace the lines and symbols. This isn't just any old map. It's a relic of forgotten lore detailing an ancient civilization, possibly one that predated even the Romans. Historians still argue whether this civilization ever existed, with some claiming it was purely a myth designed to hide the bountiful treasures they possessed from marauding tribes. You wonder what treasures lie just beyond the horizon, buried now under layers of earth and time, waiting for someone brave enough to rediscover them. As you unwrap the secrets hidden within the map, the scent of musty paper fills your nose, reminding you of those antique shops filled with quirky knickknacks that seem to tell a story with each dust mote. You can't help but chuckle as you picture yourself setting off on this daring expedition, only to find your greatest foes are probably just a few raccoons guarding the treasure. But back to the map. It features an elaborate drawing of a landmark resembling a towering mountain with a peculiar shape. It looks like a giant sleeping dragon, or maybe just a really overzealous boulder. It beckons you with its promise of adventure and discovery. In an age when every cough or sneeze could send you scampering off to the local apothecary, remedies for sleeplessness were as common as their strange and exotic components. Just like the daring explorers of your map, the Victorian pharmacists were out on their own treacherous quests, this time in search of cures. They concocted potions with a whirlwind of ingredients, some of which were more bizarre than a three-headed chicken. You could stroll into a pharmacy, and right there on the shelf was a bottle of tincture labeled Rest for Sores, presumably containing opium and a dash of crushed dreams. Victorians believed in the power of herbs and odd minerals, and let's not forget the wide use of toxic substances. Many of these remedies were suitable for a good night's sleep, or so they claimed, but side effects might include spontaneous dancing or unwarranted car conversations with invisible friends. Now that's one way to pass the time until morning. Or maybe just a little too much of that syrupy tincture called nighty-night elixir could send you into convulsions of laughter or tears. There was no in-between, and you had to be lucky to land on the positive side of its effects. As you meander deeper into this world of old remedies, you come across a particularly famous potion called Dr. Sleep's Dream Dew. Rumor has it that it was crafted from the essence of moonlight, mixed with the size of 1,000 napping cats. Yes, really. Just imagine how many naps that would take. But amidst this whimsical fantasy, scientists back then were trying to blend the ridiculous with the curious, attempting to unlock the secrets of sleep using the forces of nature instead of relying on more scientific methods. Historians still debate whether any of these concoctions actually worked, or if they were simply placebo-driven fantasies in the minds of those eager to fall into a slumber. You return to the map, folding it carefully as if you might wake the spirits within its creases. This treasure hunt has blurred into a journey through residual sleep remedies that you can almost hear calling your name. You wonder what the ancient civilization thought of insomnia, if they too huddled around their fires at night. whispering tales of the stars as their weary eyes struggled to close. Did they concoct their own methods for sleep, perhaps with a bit of herbal spice and a sprinkle of magic dust? As you ponder an era when medical knowledge was a potpourri of charms, herbal potions, and perhaps an eccentric pharmacist's idea of a good time, it becomes apparent that sleeping aids from the past were laced with a unique spice of mystery. It was an adventure to procure these sleepy potions, each with a story that unfurled like the map you found. You can almost see them now, the stooped figures in the quaint shops, their eyes glinting with both the knowledge and madness born out of experimentation. So here you are, armed with a map to treasure that may just lead to ancient answers about your own quest for deep, uninterrupted slumber. What would the ancient civilizations think of our modern-day comforts, with their foam mattresses and sleepy-time teas? Would they chuckle at our reliance on technology, or be impressed by our lengthy lists of side effects warning us of what lurks within each sleep aid? As you settle down for the night, the flickering imagery of the past sways like a gentle lullaby in your mind, begging for exploration. This night is not just about restful sleep. It's about embarking on a journey to uncover long-lost wisdom, where the absurdities of Victorian pharmacy shelves become woven with the fabric of dreams. With that, as you drift deeper into thoughts of antiquities and remedies, let your imagination carry you on wings of sleep deeper, toward the treasure that awaits the daring. May your dreams tonight lead you to those long-lost treasures, whispering the secrets of ages past, as you finally slip away into that wondrous world beyond sleep. As you sift through the dusty boxes in your grandmother's attic, the faint scent of mothballs mingles with the musty aroma of time forgotten. Cobwebs hang sadly from the rafters like ancient decorations, and the dim light filters through a small window, casting soft shadows across the cluttered space. Just when you think you've found every old sock and tarnished spoon, your fingers brush against something rougher, a piece of parchment that slipped from between the pages of an old leather-bound book. Intrigued, you pull it free, revealing a map that seems to shimmer ever so slightly in the light. The edges are tattered and the ink is faded, but the locations marked upon it pulse with the allure of adventure. You can't help but feel like a treasure hunter, though let's be honest, you appreciate the occasional nap more than swashbuckling, don't you? You scan the map, noticing that it's adorned with whimsical illustrations, a dragon curling around a castle, a sailing ship navigating through stormy seas, and curiously, a pirate holding an oversized mug of tea. Is that a thing? You chuckle softly at the thought of pirates discussing the merits of a good Earl Grey instead of their usual rum. Your heart races as you examine the various landmarks pointed out. An ancient oak of wisdom, a whispering cave, and intriguingly, a fork in the river of time. As you trace the curious lines of the map with your finger, a multitude of stories seems to weave around its edges, beckoning you toward an exploration not just of this world, but perhaps of your own lineage as well. You hear your grandmother's voice in your mind, regaling you with tales of your ancestors. How one of them was said to be a judge in the 1800s, inspiring the infamous term, vengeance for a fair trial. All right, historians still argue whether it was actually used back then, but it sounds a lot more exciting than a legal term, doesn't it? You chuckle again, shaking your head in disbelief. Nestled in between the sketched features of the map, you notice a thin line of writing, almost unnoticeable. You lean in closer to decipher what appears to be a riddle. To find what was lost in the sands of time, follow the paths where the sun never shines. Suddenly, the attic feels like a portal to another world. You imagine your ancestors wandering through these lands, their lives entwined with the places marked before you, gathering stories, secrets, and maybe some questionable sleep aids. You might even discover where your penchant for unusual herbal remedies originated. Your eyes drift back to the illustrations. Of course, you think, magic and folklore have always been wrapped around stories of the past, like a cozy blanket on a chill evening. Speaking of hot beverage-induced coziness, you picture what kind of magical elixir could be brewing in that piratey mug. Carefully, you don't tear the map as you fold it into your pocket, imagining the multitude of adventures that await you. Could these hidden treasures reveal secrets about where you came from? What surprising traits might you inherit, other than a knack for mischief and an affinity for afternoon naps? You suppress a grin at the thought. You descend the attic stairs, clutching the map like a trip planner, envisioning the journey ahead. Your mind drifts to whimsical possibilities. Maybe the ancient oak of wisdom could impart the secret to perfecting your morning coffee. A crow sits atop that very oak in the tailies you remember, eyeing passers-by as if judging their caffeine choices. You chuckle, wondering what the crows would think. After all, everyone knows that crows are nature's critics. They can only sip on the finest brood beans, or so the legends say. In a world where history feels tangled among the branches of time, you think about tracking down the whispering cave. What tailies will echo through its darkness? Perhaps the stories of your great-great-great-grandfather's battle with a giant sloth. Historians might argue whether that was real or just a colorful family story. But really, who wouldn't want to be known as the great sloth fighter? You giggle softly to yourself. Finally reaching your room, you spread the map out across your bed like a treasure hunter studying the layout of a hidden vault. The illustrations dance under the soft light of your bedside lamp, beckoning you to rest and dream. You close your eyes, imagining yourself embarking on this journey, navigating through forgotten chapters of your ancestry. With the map tucked safely under your pillow, you can't help but smile at the adventure awaiting you. After all, it's not every day you hold a key to stories lost in the sands of time. As you drift towards sleep, the gentle echo of past laughter and tailies fill your mind. Tonight, the sweet embrace of discovery lulls you into dreams where you can dance between time and memory. As the strands of sleep begin to weave their gentle veil over your senses, a sudden rustle of leaves catches your attention. You glance up from the map, your heart quickening with intrigue. From the swirling shadows, a figure emerges, clad in a coat that appears to be a century old, with a top hat perched jauntily upon their head. "Ah, at last, I've found you," the stranger exclaims, their voice echoing slightly as if reverberating through time itself. You blink, trying to shake off the remnants of slumber, gazing at this peculiar time traveler who stepped right out of the pages of Victorian lore. "You're probably wondering who I am," they say with a conspiratorial wink. "Just a humble historian with a flair for the strange." With a wave of their hand, they beckon you to join them. "I know the secret history of your village, and it's dripping with mysteries and a sprinkle of mischief." You shift your weight, adjusting to this unexpected companion. Time travelers have quite a reputation for being eccentric, but isn't that what propels the best stories? You see, your lovely village right now is built on the remnants of what was once a bustling hub of commerce during the 19th century. They whip out a curious device resembling a pocket watch, spinning it with practiced ease. Historians still argue whether it was the famed railway expansion or the invention of that delightful chocolate bar that marked its greatest boom. They pause dramatically, a shine of excitement in their eyes. Imagine a place where people couldn't get enough of chocolate. I'll crown myself the historian of candy. You chuckle at the thought. A crown made of chocolate. Now that's a sweet victory. The traveler nods excitedly, then continues, their voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. "But I digress. There's a hidden treasure you must seek. This map in your hands is more than just illustrations. It's a doorway to connect the past and present." As they weave their hands through the air, you can almost see the stories hanging around, each like a shimmering thread waiting to be pulled. There are places forgotten by time, like the old apothecary that was rumored to house the world's most eccentric sleep aids. They say, eyes lit up with mischief. Can you imagine? A potion that gives you dreams of flying biscuits, or perhaps a tea infused with the whispers of your ancestors. Why was no one ever interested in these? They flick their wrist as though conducting a symphony of curiosity. Feeling compelled by their contagious enthusiasm, you take a step closer. Wait, where exactly is this apothecary? Ah, that's the catch, they declare, twirling around theatrically. The location isn't marked on any map, just the one in your mind. You must trust your intuition. Skepticism creeps in, but the wanderlust ignites a flame within you. Could it really be hidden around corners you've never thought to explore? The mysteries sound unending. Suddenly they take a serious tone. But be forewarned, the path may be riddled with curious figures. You might meet someone who insists they know the ancient art of potion making, or a talking cat who may or may not be an undercover spy. They wink again, and you burst into laughter. Or a cat that just really loves snack breaks. Leaning in conspiratorially, your time-traveling companion adds, "Many centuries ago, villagers often mistook strange sounds in the night for signs from the universe, or perhaps from eccentric cats looking for midnight crafts." With a theatrical sigh, they straighten up. You see, my friend, the more bizarre something sounds, the closer you are to uncovering the real story. You take in their vibrant energy, feeling the sprightly nature seep into the very fibers of your being. All right, oh merry guide, where do we begin? With a flourish of their coat and a twinkle in their eye, the traveler exclaims, "Follow me," to the place where the whispers of the past dance with the echoes of possibility. You can't help but grin as you step side by side with your whimsical guide, ready for the adventure that lies ahead. As you walk, the world around you begins to shimmer, a kaleidoscope of history and imagination mixing into an intoxicating brew of wonder and exploration. And thus, your night of unexpected escapades begins under the watchful gaze of stars that seem to wink knowingly in the face of destiny. With every step, the promise of magic deepens, and you can hardly wait to uncover the enchantment tucked away in the hidden corners of your village, and perhaps yourself. You plunge through the gnarled trees of the enchanted forest, the air thick with the scent of moss and mystery. The leaves above whisper secrets, rattling softly as you're guided by your quirky companion, who glides effortlessly through the foliage. You can't help but wonder if they were born in a fragile teacup, given their eccentric style and infectious laughter. Keep your eyes peeled for any fluttering lights, they say, winking as a shimmering motley of colors darts past, nearly leading you off the path. Those are forest sprites. They're known for giving bad directions. As you navigate deeper into the enchanting woods, the whisper of history tickles your ears. Here, the trees are not just living beings but portals to other epochs. With each step, you feel a tingling energy inviting you to explore the past. Lurching forward, you touch the first tree, which feels warm and pulsating, as if it's breathing, only to be met by a gust that swirls around you. Suddenly, you're standing in a bustling marketplace from the 16th century. Oh, the oddities of this time. You watch as merchants trade spices and textiles, their shouts a symphony of negotiation. You chuckle when one vendor, clearly trying to make a sale, attempts to sell a jar of pickled fish to an uninterested lady. Fish in a jar. It's either a delicacy or a science experiment waiting to happen. Before long, your companion nudges you to another portal within the same forest. With a gentle tug, you find yourself stumbling into a Victorian tea room, where ladies in extravagant dresses sip from delicate porcelain cups, their hats towering like feathered skyscrapers. Ah, a time when caffeine was almost considered a waltz partner, your comrade jests. As you mingle among them, a sense of calm washes over you, and you note how they engage in delightful chit-chat. It's not long before you overhear a common topic fluttering through the room: sleep. Did you hear? They've started using laudanum as a sleep aid, one lady whispers dramatically. You can practically see the eyes of the others widening in intrigue. Little do they know, the pink elephant in the room is that laudanum was often more of a fanciful potion than a reliable cure for sleeplessness. Amid sipping tea, you chuckle inwardly. You've often heard of historians debating the efficacy of the Victorian sleep remedies, particularly how a lack of understanding of mental health led to a reliance on rather peculiar substances. Historians still argue whether the proliferation of these dubious sleep aids made people feel better or simply delayed their next nap. With a playful yank on your sleeve, your companion reminds you to keep moving. A new tree beckons, and you plunge into its embrace, where the landscape shifts. Bright colors swirl around you as you tumble into an ancient festival from centuries past, where oversized puppets prance around, and the scent of roasted meats hangs heavy in the air. You laugh as the puppets nearly trip over their own exaggerated feet while a jester juggles what appears to be. Is that a potato? I guess it could be worse. It could be a half-eaten cake. You quip as the delightful absurdity unfolds before you. Mingling with the revelers, you discover tales of unique historical figures like the infamous Louis VIII, who once fancied himself a king of theatrics and famously deemed himself a significant player in the world's sleep remedies, all while wearing a crown that could double as a hat for a small cat. Yet, amidst the hilarity, you overhear scholarly debate among the townsfolk on the topic of remedies embracing nature versus those forever ensnared in superstition. Historians still argue whether natural remedies held more weight based on nature's wisdom, or if they were simply spin-offs of local lore twisted through ages. After a full spin through the festival, your guide taps your shoulder with urgency, and you hurry through another portal, finding yourselves back under the whispering trees of the enchanted forest. The magical journey leaves you awash in wonder and a zesty craving for deeper understanding. Besides, who wouldn't want to time travel for a splash of sleep-induced laughter? Just as you're contemplating your next adventure, the ground beneath you starts to glow softly, revealing another spectral path. Looks like the night's not over yet, your whimsical companion exclaims with a grin. Together, you venture back into the embrace of the forest, ready to uncover the next curious chapter hidden among the leaves, always eager to learn more about the peculiar secrets of the past. As you navigate through the pathways filled with magical allure and laughter, the adventures of time await, beckoning you into the unknown with dreams of peculiar tales. You step through the next shimmering portal, and a dizzying wave of history surrounds you. The crisp air smells of olive oil and spices, the sounds of spirited shouting and clanging metal greet your ears. You find yourself amidst the hustle and bustle of the Roman Empire, where you stand in the midst of a lively gathering, the Colosseum looming majestically overhead. The first sight to greet you is a cadre of Roman soldiers in their gleaming armor, parading past with a proud swagger. They are the backbone of an empire, but today, they seem more interested in what is happening on the grassy expanse nearby. You follow their collective gaze to a thriving cooking contest, right in the heart of the city. Gladiators, usually more familiar with blood and battle than bouillabaisse, have swapped their swords for spatulas, and the air is thick with the aroma of roasted meats and fresh herbs. Your guide chuckles softly beside you, pointing toward a burly gladiator as he stirs a massive cauldron of something that resembles spaghetti. You'd think they'd be cooking up some serious competition, but instead, they might just be cooking themselves a nice nap if they keep it up like that. While observing these unexpected culinary gladiators, you can't help but overhear a debate raging among some spectators. A senator dons a laurel wreath. Perhaps it's a fashion statement, or a sign of authority in this chaotic moment. Enthusiastically argues about how the right herbs can aid in sleep. "It's the chamomile, I tell you," he exclaims, waving his hands dramatically. Historians still argue whether the Romans really believed in any special herbs for sleep, or if they just fancied having something delicate to sip while contemplating their next political move. As you navigate through the crowds, you find time to ponder that statement. The Romans were known for their use of poppies. Yes, the very same which we could argue isn't just for beautiful bouquets, but for sleeping too. Imagine their herbalists concocting their sleepy elixirs, while gladiators shaped their destinies in the arena. Who knew napping was so closely tied to wrestling in togas? The competition heats up, with gladiators showcasing their skills, flipping pots and tossing ingredients with remarkable flair. Someone attempts an elaborate flambé that crackles and pops, drawing gasps from the audience. If I knew cooking was this dramatic, I would have taken home economics. You whisper to your guide, who chuckles in response. It's not all cooking, however. A certain soldier, perhaps a tad too proud of his culinary endeavors, brings forth a plate of burnt fish, eagerly proclaiming it the latest sensation. This, my friends, will put you to sleep more than a lullaby from a great bard. He holds it aloft for all to see. You stifle a giggle, thinking the only thing that dish would put you into is a food coma. Just as you think the day cannot become any more whimsical, an old woman steps forth. She wears an intricately woven toga adorned with vibrant patterns, an air of mystery wrapped around her. "You want true tranquility," she shouts, waving a small, intricately carved wooden box, not just for sleep but enlightenment. Inside, she claims, are the traditional remedies used by Roman emperors. As you bend closer, curious about her wares, the old woman opens the box to reveal a collection of tiny vials filled with assorted liquids, some glowing ever so slightly. You can hardly contain your excitement. After all, nothing says peaceful slumber like potentially hallucinogenic concoctions from the heart of Italy. Your guide looks equal parts fascinated and horrified, whispers of caution floating between you. I mean, if a Roman could take a potion after a day of gladiatorial cooking, who wouldn't want a taste of that? The crowd starts to cheer as the final dish is prepared. A grand roasted pig, adorned with herbs and fruits, the chef taking a flamboyant bow for his culinary twist. The gladiators grab their servings, laughter bubbling around the eager contestants and hungry onlookers. They really channel their inner Romans. These fierce figures can whip up a meal just as well as they can bear arms. As the contest winds down, you feel a sense of camaraderie in the air, a collective buzz of laughter blending with praises for the culinary creations. You glance up at your guide, who raises an eyebrow at the bizarre skill set displayed today. Next time you think of sleep aids, remember, sometimes a good laugh and a delicious meal can be the best remedy for a restless night. If only we could all win a cooking contest, right? The last sentiments will surely echo in your mind forever. Together, you step back through the portal, leaving behind the vivacious sounds of Roman revelry. You wonder what peculiar adventures await you next, as the gentle magic of history swirls around you once more. The forest welcomes you back, a soothing curtain falling between the past's jubilance and your own gentle reality, as you prepare for your next whimsical encounter, pondering how to incorporate charred fish into your own dinner plans. You step into the vibrant chaos of a medieval market, where the air is thick with the savory aromas of roast meats, fresh bread, and the more questionable scent of questionable hygiene. Stalls brimming with colorful textiles, shining trinkets, and harried vendors create a striking tableau, while squawking chickens and argumentative knights add a touch of real-life drama. As you weave through the crowd, a dispute between two knights catches your ear. "I swear, Malcolm, my sword skills are sharper than your wit," one exclaims, brandishing a loaf of bread as if it were his weapon. The other knight counters by tossing a wilted carrot, proclaiming it will make for a far better shield. As humor dances in the air, you can't help but chuckle at the intensity of their culinary combat. Nearby, a jester, with his motley attire and a mischievous glint in his eye, expertly juggles small pots of herbs, tossing them one by one into a wobbly basket, while reciting whimsical verses about the quest for restful slumber. "If you can't sleep after a hard day's jest, take some lavender, it'll surely do the rest," he quips, prompting merriment from the surrounding crowd. You wander closer, fascinated by the jester's unique take on sleep remedies. Just next to him, An elderly woman hands you a handful of violets, claiming them to be a magical cure for insomnia. Remember, dearie, they work best when mixed with a touch of honey and a sprinkle of laughter. As you navigate this lively market, you also learn that medieval Europeans frequently turned to potions and concoctions in their quest for restful nights. Historical records show that many were filled with local herbs, like valerian root, known for its calming properties, that seem to thrive on both superstition and knowledge. Yet you can't help but wonder aloud if some of these remedies might have been more about creating business rather than actually ensuring sleep. Historians still argue whether medieval folk really believed in the efficacy of those remedies, or if it was simply the placebo effect yielding sound sleep, perhaps enhanced by dreams of sheep counting, rolling in the moonlight. You chuckle, imagining a sleep-deprived medieval peasant counting sheep with a scowl instead of a smile. As you ponder this charm of history, a nearby quarrel escalates. A merchant starts yelling, buttressed by bleating sheep nearby, and you can't help but think, this market's about as calm as a barn full of bats. You steer your way toward a booth decorated with tiny glass vials. A woman with a gentle face welcomes you, touting her specialty tinctures and sleep-inducing oils. She cheerfully extols the virtues of various herbs. This here is chamomile. In the morning, it makes a perfect tea, and by night, it sees you off to dreamland. Picking up a vial, you notice it's labeled Night's Embrace, and surely has more calming potential than the current chaos around you. Just then, a raucous shout catches your attention. A different jester tells a joke that echoes through the market. Why don't medieval knights trade with banks? Because they lose interest just like their armor. Laughter ripples through the crowd like a warm wave, bringing some levity to the stall-cluttered arena of commerce. As you contemplate which potions to delve deeper into, you witness a knight sidling up to the herbalist and engaging in a heated discussion. I tell you, Lady Agatha, there are no finer remedies than what you sell. Those trendy poultices from the eastern lands can wait. The herbalist, clearly amused, retorts, "Ah, Sir Bertram, you'll never convince me that throwing some exotic root into a cauldron makes it more effective than my bubbling brew," sparking a dialogue about tradition versus newfangled remedies. You realize these knights and jesters forge unexpected alliances, pooling their collective experiences into quirky but effective approaches for better sleep. Glancing at your surroundings, it's hard to ignore the enchantment of this medieval marketplace. It's a stage where every interaction, be it light-hearted or spirited, adds to the colorful tapestry of life. Just as you lose yourself in the merriment and potions, a sudden bellow echoes above the chatter. Let us pray our dreams be filled with knights, jesters, and sleepy sheep. Your laughter mingles with the crowd's hearty approval as you witness the beautiful camaraderie again present in this whimsical dance of life. As the sun sinks low, casting a golden haze over the market, you feel the urge to explore yet another unusual sleep remedy before unwinding into your own dreams. After all, in this delightful era of horse-drawn carriages and market banter, there's still more enchantment waiting for you just beyond the next stall. As you drift further into twilight, the vibrant sounds of the medieval market begin to fade, transforming into the soft brushstrokes of a new era, the Renaissance. You find yourself standing in a bustling artist's studio, surrounded by a kaleidoscope of colors and a plethora of oddly shaped contraptions scattered about like a quirky explosion of creativity. The air smells faintly of linseed oil, mixed tantalizingly with the sweeter aroma of freshly crushed lavender, a favored sleep remedy of the time. You spot a broad-shouldered man with a messy beard and paint-splattered overalls, fervently doodling on a canvas as if it were a delicate parchment in need of a deep sleep. "Ah, welcome, friend," he exclaims, his eyes twinkling with mischief. "I am Leonardo, not that one, but the other one, and I dabble in dreams and inventions. Care for a peek?" You nod enthusiastically and follow him to a corner, where an odd contraption resembling a giant pillow with wings stares back at you. "This is my flying dream corset," he announces proudly, puffing out his chest. "You wear it while you sleep, and it allows your soul to soar through the clouds of creativity." You can't help chuckling at the thought of this strange garment, a bit more unconventional than your average sleep mask. With a wink, he adds, "Or, as my last apprentice said, it's perfect for making your sleep precisely uncomfortable." You catch a glimpse of sketches showing various versions of the invention. Some look like a graceful swan, while others resemble a disgruntled goose. The slapstick humor of it all makes your heart warm with mirth. Leonardo senses your amusement and grins. "Ah, dreams can be whimsical and silly, just like my failed inventions. Let me show you another." He leads you to a large painting, depicting a whimsical scene of floating beds surrounded by hearts and stars. "This is my sleeping sphere. It's meant to cradle the weary in the arms of the cosmos," he declares excitedly. A small cat, apparently caught in the middle of the scene, seems to be wondering why there are no fish in this celestial arrangement. "But alas," Leonardo sighs, waving a hand dramatically, "after my last attempt to construct it, I ended up with more naps than I bargained for." You envision the chaos that must have occurred. Imagine waking up floating into someone's garden, knowing how earnest yet light-hearted he is. You toss back a playful quip. "I guess the real question is whether they took cats on intergalactic voyages." Leonardo chuckles, venturing forth with another mysterious invention. He gestures to a veritable mountain of tiny wooden figurines, each one bearing the likeness of different sleeping creatures. "These," he exclaims, barely able to contain his delight, "are my sleepy guardians. Each one promises to keep nightmares at bay." He picks one up proudly, a plump little owl, complete with a comically oversized pair of spectacles. Historians still argue whether owls are naturally wise or just excellent at napping during the day, which leads to some very uninformed thoughts at midnight, he quips, carefully balancing the figurine atop the stack of others. You really start to appreciate the madness surrounding his inventions. Perhaps the Renaissance wasn't just about masterpieces and towering inventions. It was also about the quirky spirit of experimentation. Speaking of experiments, just as you're about to point out that everyone could use more imaginative sleep aids, Leonardo scoops up a tiny glimmering bottle. "And here, the potion of serene snacks," he exclaims. You blink intrigued. The small bottle twinkles under the studio lights, almost like it's awaiting its grand debut at a late-night infomercial. "This concoction has been known to keep the midnight munchies at bay," he remarks with mock seriousness. "Of course, you have to drink it while balancing on one leg while reciting Shakespeare, or it does nothing at all." As laughter bubbles between you, you begin to realize the beauty and the chaos of creativity. Even the most brilliant ideas often sprout from whimsical failures. Perhaps, as you meander through the intricacies of inventions and odd sleep aids, you can embrace your own quirky dreams with the same enthusiasm. Leonardo leads you to a soft corner, a makeshift lounge of textured pillows and soft blankets, all embodying the colors of the sunset. "Now, dear friend, let's muse on what remedies could be next. Perhaps a tea blend that guarantees dreams of cheese," he proposes, raising an eyebrow. You chuckle at the absurdity but can't ignore how dreamy that sounds. Maybe it's time to invent a little mischief of your own. Now far removed from the serious pursuits of conventional art, artists like Leonardo embody the spirit of creativity, a swirling tapestry that shows even the most nonsensical dreams can lead you to sweet slumber. You settle in among the pillows, feeling the warmth of companionship in an ever-growing melody of laughter and imagination swirling around you, ready to embrace your own dreams before the night carries you away once again into the land of sleep. You plunge down through the fabric of time, the air thickening with soot and the faint melodic clinking of machinery. As you emerge in the industrial era, the cacophony of hissing steam and grinding gears envelops you. Before your eyes, a bustling factory looms, its chimneys belching clouds that intertwine against the ashen sky like ghostly fingers reaching out to grasp at freedom. You feel a palpable tension in the air, sensing both ambition and despair, as workers navigate the tumult of this brave new world. You are soon drawn to a group of children huddled by a massive spinning machine. They're smaller than they should be, their faces smudged with grease and weariness. As they laugh softly while racing to keep up with the relentless pace, a pang of concern pricks at your heart. "Hey," one of the children calls to you, a sparkle in their eye as they deftly dodge a mechanical arm. "You look like you can help us. We were just discussing how toy manufacturers really make toys." You chuckle lightly. Do you think they use oversized hamsters on wheels? Giggling in delight, the children nod along, their laughter echoing around the laborious noises like a gentle breeze pushing through a dense forest. You settle down on a nearby crate, your curiosity piqued as one of the older workers approaches, wiping his brow. He regards the children with a sage-like countenance, his gray hair dusted with grime. "The toy industry," he scoffs. "Bah, they only care for profits, just like the factory owners who feed off our backs." "Incredible, isn't it?" you muse. "The machines can create things faster than the blink of an eye, and yet, why do they seem to strip away humanity at the same time?" The worker nods gravely, gesturing to his roughened hands. "We're meant to be trade-drop mechanics, though many of us are losing touch with craft and care." From across the way, a child pipes up, "And you know what? They say our factory runs on child labor to keep the profits fresh, like a pie kept warm on a summer day." "Good analogy," you exclaim, trying to repent from slipping into serious territory. "Anyone got some ice cream to go with that?" The worker chuckles, his stern demeanor softening. A flicker of laughter dances between you, a brief spark of joy in this utilitarian age. Still absorbed in your conversation, you learn that many kids your age, if you were one of them, have been at it for longer than you'd like to think. "They say we trade education for the chance to wrangle machines," he continues, eyes clouding sadly. Beyond the clinky sounds of drilling and slicing, the children enthusiastically chime in, a hint of rebellion blooming in their voices. They share dreams filled with grandiose plans. "I want to make dream capture machines," says one, while another declares, "I'll invent a never-ending candy factory." You can't help but smile. Isn't it fascinating how dreams remain so vibrant amidst such chaos? Historians still argue whether the rise of factories led to creative innovation or simply stifled humanity altogether. You interject, inviting curiosity as you place an arm around the older worker, sharing warmth amidst the lingering tension. But the fun takes a turn when the children gang up and joke. "Hey, let's ask the machines to sleep too, so we can play." "Be careful," the worker warns with a wink. "They might just take a snooze, and then we'd be stuck forever in line." The whims of fate weave through the fabric of your gathering, painting a striking image of resilience. Within moments, a lull of tranquility washes over, as the grinding gears take on a distant hum. You ponder the paradox of the age, a time wrought with progress but at a steep cost. You feel called, curious to speak with the children again, to be part of something bigger than just mere progress. Engaging them, you quip, "If only sleeping could be as easy as turning off one of these machines. Just imagine. Or like pressing the big reset button on the world." Another chimes in. "Oh, wait," you muse with a faux inquisitive expression. "What if the machines don't dream? Do they get points for trying?" The laughter rises again, a sweet testament to the resilience of the human spirit, even when pinned beneath gears that churn endlessly without thought. There's a warmth in the camaraderie, a fleeting moment of clarity. It's clear, in this whirlwind of industry, that you too will weave dreams in the face of clanging dread. As the machinery seems to soften, you pause, sitting in that moment of silent solidarity with the children, wondering if someday, both their dreams and naps would all find a way to coexist without sacrifice. You drift deeper into contemplation, the sounds of the factory in the background transforming into a lullaby, inviting you closer to the embrace of dreams. Each whisper of the wind gently nudges you, urging you to this eternal dance between toil and rest, hope and weariness. As the day finally yields to the night, you find yourself in an expansive hall, illuminated by flickering gaslights casting shadows of the towering figures gathered before you. It's a curious mix of souls who have shaped history, great inventors, esteemed philosophers, and visionary about-to-be pioneers, engaged in a cocktail of animated debate. This, my friend, is the Great Debate, where the clashing ideals of tradition and innovation dance fiercely in the air. You take a breath and step closer to witness their passionate discourse, your heart fluttering with excitement. One of the first voices you hear is Thomas Edison, his thick mustache twitching as he argues for the merits of progress and invention. "Without innovation, we'd still be staring at the dark," he exclaims, waving a light bulb like a victory flag. Across the table sits Charles Dickens, his brow furrowed in discontent. But in our rush for progress, we risk losing the essence of humanity, the warmth of our stories. His eyes glint as he leans in closer, challenging the inventors to remember the very people affected by their inventions. You soak in the energy surrounding you, a tension-filled hum akin to the beats of a manufacturing plant, both invigorating and unsettling. Innovations like the steam engine may have driven societal change, but would Dickens intone the same lullabies had the factories swallowed up the lives of children and families? You can't help but chuckle at how their clash might echo through the ages, like an opera with melody and chaos dancing together. In the corner, an amused Nikola Tesla leans against a wall, fingers tapping rhythmically as he watches the exchange unfold. "Why, Thomas, who needs society when we can have alternating currents everywhere?" he quips, eliciting a snicker from the crowd. Just imagine everyone illuminated, chronologically mismatched. You begin to wonder if Tesla's quirky perspective is laced with an ounce of madness or pure genius. After all, historians still argue whether he was the true genius behind the electric age or merely overshadowed by Edison's marketing prowess. As the discussion heats up, Marie Curie chimes in, her voice steady and remarkably calm, offering her wisdom on the balance between science and ethics. With every discovery, we gain incredible knowledge, but we must tread carefully. After all, knowledge can light the way, but too much light can blind or burn. This assessment evokes laughter, though you still sense the underlying truth. After all, she boldly faced the radiations of her discoveries, even when the world wasn't quite ready for her scientific advances. You ponder whether their conversations resonate with our current dilemmas, much like choosing between liquid and solid, innovation versus cautious conservatism. As the debate swells to new heights, you glance at a small group gathered with pens and parchment, scribbling furiously. This must be the historians, intently recording the dialogue, noting everything from the emotional fervor to the light-hearted jests. You whisper a quick joke to yourself about how they'd have to fight for the best seat in history class. Who'd have imagined a bunch of past figures holding a tense standoff? Suddenly, the air thickens as Winston Churchill, with a cigar in hand and an expression befitting a bulldog, cuts in. "We must learn from our past mistakes. Innovation is not a straight path." He gestures wildly, captivating the room with his magnetic presence. Like trying to walk in a straight line while galloping on a steed, most will just end up face first in the mud. The laughter this elicited feels both liberating and overwhelming, binding the group in shared momentary levity. But Churchill's analogy hangs heavy in the air. Progress often faces pitfalls that are either shocking or poetic. You consider how echoing debates of tradition versus modernity are incredibly relevant today, and this gathering of historical titans only highlights this clash. Perhaps even more striking is the fringe thought that each inventor, visionary, and philosopher brings an intriguing nugget to the larger discussion. Who would have thought that combinations of the most reputable ideas and wild conclusions would ignite endless contemplation through time? As ebbing voices blend together, you lean back, allowing yourself to float in dreams of this unusual assembly. Images of the great debaters swirling in your mind like the steam rising from a pot of tea on a brisk Victorian night. You realize this unique gathering showcases how interpretation shapes our understanding. And every laugh shared reminds you that connecting through each age is the ultimate innovation. As you bask in this emotional tapestry of thought, you begin to feel the warmth of sleep wrapping you in its gentle embrace, allowing for the sweet drift into dreams. Amid this world woven of history and future, you let your eyelids flutter gently like those gaslights dimming at the end of a long night, the echoes of debate fading into soothing whispers that guide you deeper into rest. As the laughter of Edison dickens and the rest fills your ears like the warm hum of a lullaby, your curiosity nudges you forward, seeking the very essence of the discourse swirling around you. You lean in just a bit closer, trying to grasp the nuances of Tesla's witty interjections about alternating current and Curie's passionate emphasis on the importance of ethical considerations in scientific endeavors. You can almost feel the excitement crackle in the air, like the energy of a freshly lit gas lamp ready to illuminate the night. But as you take a deeper breath, inhaling the aroma of rich conversation, a strange gust of wind, far too whimsical and chaotic for this gathering, sweeps through the hall. Without warning, a shadowy figure marking a stark contrast to your bright surroundings tumbles into the room, clutching a peculiar, shimmering artifact. It glows with an ethereal light, a symbol of time and space. Before you can ask the intruder what they are up to, a spark ignites from the artifact, igniting a blaze of light that engulfs you. In an instant, with the gaslights flickering dramatically, you feel the very fabric of reality warp and twist, pulling you through a whimsical time rift, leaving behind the dignified debate and landing you in a world swirling with colors unfamiliar. You tumble out onto the cobblestone streets of a chaotic medieval bazaar, where merchants shout and haggle, their voices intertwining like melodies from a distorted music box. You glance around, wide-eyed, realizing you have inadvertently landed in a bustling bazaar during the late Middle Ages. In a flash, your Victorian attire feels utterly out of place, like a powdered wig at a rock concert. Before you can collect your thoughts, a scrawny man wearing tattered clothes rushes past you, a chicken flapping wildly under his arm. "You should really pick your poultry wisely," you call after him. Your comment earns you a bemused glance from a nearby vendor, who raises an eyebrow before returning his attention to a rather angry hog strapped to a cart. In this vibrant chaos, your attention is drawn to an ornate mirror hanging impossibly in midair. Is it a joke, or is it magic? Historians still argue whether real wizards ever existed in the medieval era, or if they were just figments of bored artists' imaginations. But if this mirror is any indication, something unusual is definitely afoot. Curiosity piqued, you approach it cautiously, the surface reflecting not your bewildered expression but scenes from the Victorian gathering you left behind. Edison blinks at the artifact's sudden disappearance, his mustache twitching bewitchingly as he scrambles for answers, while Curie waves her hands in dramatic gestures, as though signaling you from across the ages. Give a girl some warning next time you yank someone through time. You chuckle softly, feeling a strange bond with the paradox of timelines. Looking around the bustling marketplace, you become acutely aware of the peculiar yet endearing characters around you. A knight complete with glossy armor that shines even brighter than curried gold leans against a stall, awkwardly discussing trinkets with a peasant clad in mismatched rags. You hear him declaring, "They say armor makes a man more courageous, but honestly, I just want to look good at the tournament next week." You stifle a giggle, imagining heroic battles fought while trying to ensure one's armor is Pinterest perfect. In the corner, a juggler tosses flaming torches, and you can't suppress your urge to shout, "Hey, be careful." You might take up a new occupation as a torture test subject. The laughter echoes around you, drawing the juggler's bemused attention, making the flames dance even higher. Yet amidst the laughter, there's intrigue. A nearby scholar examines a scroll, frantically jotting notes on a peculiar invention, a clock that doesn't tell time but instead tells fortunes. To think, fortune-telling technology in the medieval times. Just wait until it breaks and starts telling everyone they'll fall asleep during an important speech. You muse quietly, feeling a sense of camaraderie and whimsy. As the sounds of the bazaar swirl in your ears, the faintest tug of worry creeps in. You've lost your connection to the intellectual debates you adored, but perhaps this chaotic adventure holds wisdom of its own. Your heart picks up pace as you contemplate the threads of history entangled in this sprawling tapestry. What if this experience could offer unseen insights into the delicate balance between the present and the past? A realization that perhaps fate comes disguised as chaos. Just then, an elder woman, her hair entwined with wildflowers, approaches you with a twinkle in her eye. "You seem lost, dear. Want a taste of our famous honey cakes? They'll take your mind off existential crises." With a quick grin, you nod, feeling a surge of energy as a taste of adventure mingles sweetly with the buzz of bustling humanity. Maybe, just maybe, this chaotic era holds more treasures than you ever anticipated. As the vibrant bazaar fades, a sudden gust of wind whirls you away, wrapping you in an embrace of uncertainty. You land not softly, but with a thud on a gritty cobblestone street, the smoke of cooking fires dancing in the air. Around you, the sounds of bustling activity intermingle with the echo of distant sirens, signaling the weight of the moment, the World War whirl. You look around to see a montage of lifestyle and labor, faces filled with both tension and triumph. Crates are being unloaded, their labels hastily scribbled in smudged ink, while women in headscarves laugh and gossip, weaving bits of humor into the fabric of their day. "Look, there's Mrs. Cook," you overhear one of them say. "Every time she goes to the market, the prices only seem to increase. What's her secret?" With a chuckle, you navigate the street, feeling an unexpected kinship with these bustling souls. Amidst the gray skies, you spot a small sign that reads Camaraderie Cafe. How fitting, you think. As you step inside, the warmth teases your senses awake, bringing forth the scent of baked bread mingled with fresh coffee. You find a spot on a rickety wooden bench and take in your surroundings. The cafe is alive with chatter and laughter, a stark contrast to the tensions outside. One jovial gentleman, clad in an impressively large coat, stands on a small crate, regaling the crowd with tailies from the front. "Did you hear about the soldier who tried to climb the barbed wire to rescue his lunch?" he announces. "I guess he believed you can't fight on an empty stomach." The room erupts in laughter, and you smile at the resilience humans show even when faced with adversity. This moment reflects the very heart of wartime spirit, where humor and warmth become shields against the troubles that surround them. Seated across from you is a woman, her eyes bright despite the circumstances. She introduces herself as Agnes, a local seamstress who spends her days mending uniforms and her nights teaching children how to sew. "You know," she says with an air of wisdom, "in times like these, creativity becomes our refuge. Did you know that some artists have found escaping into their work can help them cope with the horrors of war?" You nod, intrigued, as she motions to a ragged banner hanging nearby bearing the words, "Hope is a thread." With a sigh, you lean back, absorbing the strength that resonates within the cafe. At that very moment, a young girl rushes in, a basket brimming with bright yellow sunflowers clasped in her hands. "These are for everyone," she announces, pushing them forward eagerly. You can't help but smile, her innocence shining amidst the backdrop of war. The girl stands tall, almost as if she has the weight of the world on her small shoulders, yet manages to lighten the atmosphere with flowers, genuine laughter, and her undying spirit. As conversations swirl around you, a veteran enters, golden medals clinking on his chest as he hobbles towards the bar. His presence commands attention as everyone turns to regard him with admiration. He orders a simple pint of ale, but the chatter soon fades as he begins recounting his own tale. He shares how camaraderie, not valor, sustained him through the toughest of times, his laughter mingling with the heavy breaths of remembrance. You learn that he became close friends with a fellow soldier over a shared love of bad puns. "What did the paper say to the pencil?" he quips, a twinkle in his eye. "You have no point, but I still look up to you." The cafe bursts into laughter once more. That moment lingers. A magical realization settles on you. While historians might argue about the significance of events during World War II, whether they were driven more by ideology or necessity, what remains irrefutable is the bond these fine people create among themselves. Even amidst pain and loss, they find ways to lift each other up. You admire how they have turned simple human interactions into a support network without the need for grand gestures. A true testament to human resilience. As evening falls, shadows stretch out in the cafe, bathing everything in a golden hue. Conversations fade into sweet murmurs while the warmth of shared stories fills the air. You glance around, taking in the fleeting beauty of this moment. A reminder that joy can blossom in unexpected places, even amidst the somber shadows of war. When the time comes to leave, you feel a gentle tug in your heart, wanting to stay in this pocket of resilience and warmth. Yet you know the world still turns and your next adventure beckons. You step out of the cafe, leaving behind the camaraderie forged in laughter, warmth, and delicate threads of hope, ready to embrace whatever awaits you next. As you swirl back into the pages of time, as you linger in the cafe, the laughter begins to fade into a distant echo, replaced by a soft melody of thoughts, drifting like leaves caught in the gentle breeze. You find yourself grappling with an unusual tug-of-war deep within, an inner battle between the allure of this captivating historical romp and the cozy embrace of your own time, where the familiar comforts await. "There's no place like home," you murmur to yourself, feeling a twinge of nostalgia reminiscent of a toddler clinging to their blanket on the first day of school. Moments ago, the smells of fresh bread and blooming sunflowers filled your senses. Now, however, they intertwine with a more poignant yearning. The yearning for safety, warmth, and the simple joys of home, complete with hot cocoa and the occasional cat lap companion. Longing glimmers like a tiny star in a vast sky, one that is both beautiful and distinctly out of reach. As you sit back and sip on your warm cup of tea, you can't help but dread the inevitable decision looming large: adventure or comfort. You think about the extraordinary stories shared in the cafe tonight, the veterans' tales of bravery, courage that somehow jumps from one heart to another, or the little girl, her sunflowers bright enough to rival the sun, plucking on the strings of your heart. War has a way of bringing people together, doesn't it? Or so they say. In stark contrast, historians still argue whether wartime camaraderie is genuine unity forged through hardship, or just a bunch of folks grasping at straws to feel better in an awful situation. You chuckle quietly, wondering if camaraderie works on the same principle as a burnt toast. Sometimes, it's just easier to accept than fight against it. As you step outside into the crisp evening air, the sky above is a canvas painted in hues of deep navy and soft silver. You can feel the pull of the past, its whispers brushing against your ears like the wings of moths, guiding you along cobblestone paths and through bustling streets of yesteryears. Yet somewhere within, the comforting embrace of home beckons, a soft voice calling you back to your own time, where pancakes don't come with a side of existential crisis, and your daily commute involves more coffee than carrier pigeons. Oh, the things you miss. Your favorite book nook awaits, patiently gathering dust and eager to blanket you with its familiar tailies, rather than send you searching for a cozy spot in a historical drama. Come on, who doesn't love a good sci-fi novel about time travel? You chuckle to yourself, picturing an era where one could commute through time as easily as one flips to the next page. But here you are, caught in tailies far removed from your reality, an unwitting time traveler lost in someone else's journey. Laughter from the cafe seems to swirl around you, remnants of joy that make your heart swell, but they're shadows against the warmth of home's memory. Sparks of awkward moments flit through your mind, like that time you tried to bake cookies and ended up with oven-safe bricks instead. What were you thinking? Maybe in the First World War, baking was a sport. Whoever made the tastiest scones won a medal. You chuckle softly, the sound barely above a whisper. Yet, jokes aside, the reality of your dilemma weighs heavily. Should you dive deeper into the chapters of history scattered across this vibrant, war-torn landscape? Or is it wiser to return to your comforting narrative, however dull it may feel compared to the thrill of unexpected adventures? Heart racing, you ponder the decisions laid out like a buffet table. History or home, chaos or comfort. A corner of your mind nudges at you, reminding you that home isn't only confined within walls but exists in memories, laughter, and perhaps even burnt toast disasters. You realize that no matter how far you wander, a piece of you remains rooted in your own timeline, just like that stubborn fluff stuck to your sock, always there, giving a little tug when things get too far. As you walk, the laughter softens, blending into the background, leaving only a serene melody of thoughts. A nearby lamp flickers, casting golden shadows that paint a picture of fleeting moments. Do small choices create life's grand tapestry, or is it the grand adventures that thread through the fabric of time? Perhaps both. You muse, bright smirks hidden behind thoughtful frowns. After all, wasn't it Sir Winston Churchill himself who once remarked, "A joke is a very serious thing." You follow the path, letting the warmth of adventure and the comfort of home warble around you in delightful harmony. The journey has enriched you, but does it mean you must leave the memories behind? Each moment adds a kind of weight to the choices you make, a gentle reminder that wherever you are, there's value in remembering the journey you've taken. With a sigh deep in content, you recognize that whatever comes next, a part of you shall always find a way back home, sweetened by history and buoyed by laughter, knowing both have a place in your heart. You stroll through the dimly lit aisles of the Victorian pharmacy, a sanctuary of sorts, where the lingering smells of rosemary and peppermint wrap around you like a warm blanket. The wise words of long-gone apothecaries echo in your mind, and you can almost hear them describe their concoctions, a brew of nostalgia and necessity. As you explore, you find yourself pondering the legacies etched into every shelf. Each bottle tells a story, a whisper of lives lived long before you. You can't help but smile, thinking about how in the future, someone might stare at your knickknacks and wonder about the history tucked inside your own home, or more likely, think it's just a really fancy dust collector. By all accounts, people had both simple and complicated relationships with these remedies. While many sought ways to ease their troubled nights, others apparently believed that sniffing a lavender potpourri could ward off the evil eye. You chuckle softly at the idea, wondering if that's how all those sleepy cats became self-proclaimed nap champions. After all, they'd worked hard at looking cute enough to avoid any witchcraft at all. It hits you. These conversations with the past deepen your own understanding of responsibility. Just as they sought comfort and clarity in their time, you navigate similar waters now. What journey are you embarking on in this life? What legacy do you want to leave for those who will wander through your world one day and wonder about you? Historians still argue whether the Victorian ideals shape modern perceptions of wellness, or if they merely echo back, like a particularly bad song on an endless loop. You smirk, thinking about being the ghost that haunts a local cafe, hanging around to hear people murmur about your odd collection of vintage teacups. Suddenly, a thought strikes you. What if the timeless wisdom of those who walked these streets before you could guide your choices today? Maybe it's time to have a conversation with the echoes of history that ripple throughout your life. You decide to plop down on a velvet chair against the wall, taking in the dusty elixirs lined neatly on the shelves. This little nook feels like the perfect spot for reflection, a space where you can draw inspiration from anyone with a well-fitted waistcoat and a penchant for herbal remedies. You recall stories friends shared about their families, passed down through generations. If only you could gather the sass of your great-grandmother, a woman who believed every problem could be solved with a proper cup of tea or a good laugh. As you settle in deeper, the intoxicating aroma of chamomile floats through the air, and you wonder, what would she think about your choices? Would she approve of your current infatuation with crafting your own history? Or would she tug her apron and marvel at the strange, serial hobbyism of this era? You're certain that if she knew you were loitering in a pharmacy rather than tending a proper garden or cooking, she'd probably roll her eyes and mutter something about how times have indeed changed. But that's the beauty of legacy. Things evolve, don't they? You're not simply a product of your past. You're also a catalyst for your future. Just as every herb on this shelf held medicinal properties and quirky uses, your choices today impact the lives of some future generations. Imagine those descendants referring back to you, chuckling about how you thought drinking dandelion tea was the ultimate health hack. With that thought swirling in your mind, you glance at a bottle labeled Dream Inducer, guaranteed to help you fall asleep. Your eyebrows rise with curiosity mixed with skepticism. You think about how stressed you often feel missing your deadlines, and how you might just need a spoonful of whatever potion the Victorians concocted. Good luck with that. Part of you knows there's no magic potion to make you more organized. But then again, one could argue that everything has a touch of magic, especially when infused with love and laughter, right? You can't help but imagine how chaotic and entertaining it would have been if one of your ancestors had jumped through time, trying to navigate modern-day challenges while clinging vehemently to their historical advice. Would they suggest you get organized, or hook you up with a proper planner and a hefty dose of pep talks? Maybe they would just roll with it. After all, change often walks hand in hand with chaos, and sometimes it takes a little madness to find the treasure buried beneath responsibility. As thoughts of past lives swirl in a warm embrace of nostalgia, you sigh, pondering the unique blend of ambition and tradition swirling inside you. Each choice you make, every dream you chase, is an extension of countless stories. And as sleepy shadows dance around the pharmacy's shelves, you realize that this is more than an exploration of remedies. It's a discovery of how the past and present intertwine. You fade into a gentle contemplation about the balance of responsibilities and dreams. Maybe that dreamy legacy you carve out today is the very wisdom that will inspire tomorrow's dreamers. Just before drifting off, you can't help but murmur to yourself, well, if this whole adulting thing doesn't work out, I can always market myself as a time-traveling herbalist. An unexpected giggle escapes your lips, sending you into a peaceful drift, tucking in thoughts of the past with hopes for the future as soft dreams wrap around you like a cozy shawl. As you step through the thick fog enveloping the lush forest, the enticing scent of lavender from the Victorian marketplace still lingers, reminding you of the unexpected voyage you've had. In the distance, a soft glow flickers, calling you toward the portal that promises a return home. The dim light dances in rhythm with your pace. As you walk, you recall the curious remedies that reveal our timeless pursuit of sleep. If only fine cheese could fix everything the way some Victorians believed it would. The trail is sprinkled with scattered iron files and peculiar lozenges, remnants of an age when apothecaries were like today's all-night convenience stores, but with far more strange concoctions. You stumble upon a congregation of admiring statues who seem keen on watching your homeward-bound showdown like a historical fan club. Well, perhaps it's your imagination, or maybe those ancient figures are celebrating your newfound enlightenment. Finally, the portal reveals itself, shimmering like a mirage. Ah, dear traveler, the ways of the past are indeed mysterious, woven with stories that connect the grand tapestry of history with the surreal threads of survival. Luckily, you arrive armed with tailies now seasoned with the paradoxes of time's passage. Because, as you learn, some things simply never change. Just like debates over who invented the pocket watch first. Ever the mystery, Oliver Cromwell, the Puritan with a penchant for order, made it quite the accessory of importance. Yet historians still argue whether its precision or his strict moral codes left a lasting legacy. You gently trudge onward, contemplating how history, like a good yarn, mostly unravels in spirals that sometimes lead you back to where you began, only with a more amusing lens. Imagine those Victorians, swaddled in lace and courting the medicinal properties of electric belts, all for a cozy good night's rest. The allure of dreams, they are indeed a common currency, trading in the comical and complex whims of humanity. Breaking through the portal is as simple as traversing a picket fence. Easy, familiar, and probably less of a spectacle than the starkly moonlit walks undertaken by famed explorer Margaret Fountain, who amassed over 22,000 butterflies during her mysterious travels. And in just like fashion, you gather intangible souvenirs, albeit a fair bit lighter, from this journey, tailies plucked from time's secret wardrobe, reshaped now by the silence of their resting place. As the world shifts, you find yourself safely grounded in the snug sanctuary of your own era. Instant nightfall, like a drop curtain on a theatrical finale. History, your nighttime companion, is already slipping into dreams laden with the wonders of Castellan castles and faded remedies. The stars outside wink knowingly, as you tuck away these peculiar narratives delivered with a suave nod and a lazy wink. With a grateful sigh, you lie down, while memories of Napoleon Bonaparte's insistence on basic knowledge and good conduct for all his subjects seems lightly amusing. After all, despite the chaos of swords and silks, even the little guy just wanted good behavior. If only Napoleon knew what a bedtime tale that ambition would become. You've journeyed, you've gathered tailies, and now it's time to slip into the gentle embrace of sleep, with history as your forgiving pillow, whispering you into the arms of dreams. Sleep tight. With each step you take through the soft whispers of your home, a warm appreciation swells within you, a realization that the objects you've collected are but vessels for the richer story they carry. Picture yourself, breathing slow, initiated as both a storyteller and historian, rediscovering the unlikely heritage of peculiar Victorian sleep aids alongside curious family members. Curled on a cushioned sofa, you unfold tailies of lavender-filled pillows and syrups claimed to induce the deepest of slumbers. Your audience, whether attentive child or seasoned elder, leans just a little closer, their eyes bright with a curiosity that transcends generations. You soon discover that the allure of your stories lies not in the physical artifacts plucked from pharmacy shelves, but in the invisible thread that stitches people together. Much like a seasoned librarian who accidentally wears two different socks, history often wears its humor in the peculiarities it homes. As the room fills with chuckles, you dive into narratives of a world where bedtime meant ingesting substances that would today invite raised eyebrows and perhaps a concerned glance. Did you know that the Victorians had staggering confidence in their concoctions? Imagine ingesting a tonic containing opium or chloral hydrate, marketed with the innocent promise of restful nights. The sight of such bottles sparks a playful look from your uncle, whose raised brow suggests he's imagining opening a bar that serves only these vintage remedies. You assure him Balance isn't just needed in mixology but in good sleep, reminding everyone that perhaps not all old remedies are quite fit for revival. As your anecdotes weave through the room, a sense of togetherness is crafted, much like the complex tapestry of history itself. You mention how during the Victorian era, doctors often prescribed bromide tea, a quirky solution that was both a beverage and a tranquilizer, a two-for-one deal much coveted in those seemingly simpler times. Historians still argue whether the choice of such potent sleep aids was born of genuine medical intention or a delightful shortcut to silence in cacophonous urban households. Inevitable giggles arise, soft and rippling, as you recount how a box of antiquated ear trumpets was mistaken for bizarre nightstands upon which bewildered relatives sought to rest their tired eyes. The decorative nature of these items might suggest a 19th century room decor war veteran, exhausted from the never-ending battle of sleep versus noise. As the stories fly across generations, something magical happens. Who would have thought that family night could turn into a debate on the ethics of peddling dubious sleep aids? But here you are, contemplating if maybe, just maybe, your great-great-aunt's tendency for afternoon naps might have been nurtured by that same bromide brew the Victorians savored. Finally, as the fire starts to dwindle, casting a warm glow that softens the edges of reality, you feel your own eyelids grow heavy, not unlike those Victorian souls after a few drafts of their well-cherished sleep potions. You recognize that while adventures may be packed with excitement, the simple act of sharing these adventures, each word seasoned with personal interpretation, carves a lasting mark deep within the heart of your listeners. Setting traditional sleep tonics aside, you and your loved ones let imagination be your lullaby. Your voice becomes the guide on this soothing journey through yesteryears, where every blink takes you further from the night's lingering wakefulness. With dreams imminent, you recognize that in stories, you've unearthed the truest treasure, moments where history, humor, and humanity kiss goodnight. As the comforting weight of the night settles in around you, you find solace in the knowledge that something enchanting still stirs beneath the surface of the mundane. Imagine the gentle flicker of gas lamps casting a soft glow on the worn wooden shelves of Victorian pharmacies, where each little jar held not just medicines, but also whims and wonders crafted for restless souls. It's a soothing thought, knowing that long before essential oils filled our homes with serenity, folks relied on unique sleep aids, like tinctures made from ashwagandha, which some believed could summon dreams of mystic realms. Historians still argue whether such remedies were common to quench simply a weary mind, or if they held deeper ties to rituals and beliefs of sleep as a portal to the next world, like a gentle nudge from an ancient guide. To think, some were convinced that a blend of lavender and chamomile could bring you a night as sweet as a biscuit dipped in honey, while others debated whether a cup of warm milk was merely a bedtime story itself, invented by parents too tired to chase after yet another toddler tantrum. As you cradle these thoughts, allow your body to sink deeper, the weariness of the day releasing its grip. Feel your shoulders loosen and your breath soften like whispers folded within the silken sheets of your bed. You're surrounded by warmth and safety, cradled in the embrace of time, as dreamy horizons blur into shimmers of possibility. Close your eyes now, knowing you are cherished, drifting gently into the embrace of slumber, where light-hearted mysteries await to share their secrets with you, softly guiding you into that peaceful, dream-filled night.